Good morning. Good afternoon, Rick.
Yeah, good afternoon, Elmer. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well. My family's well. Things are going as good as can be expected.
That sounds about right. So I want to get into the thick of this conversation as quickly as possible. Uh,
Sure.
Over your right shoulder, I see a picture of a dog,
You
and
do.
I'd love to know who that dog is.
That dog, his name is Howard, but we call him Howie. He's my son's roommate's dog, and there's kind of a long story, but to make it short, the kids decided to get this dog and keep it in an apartment that they were renting. The landlord found out and said, either the dog goes or you kids get out of the place. So my wife and I agreed to watch the dog until the end of the kids' lease, and lease expired. All the kids kind of scattered, and now 6 years later, my wife and I still have the dog. So it's kind of a rescue, but he's ours now.
I I love that. So for those of us who haven't had a chance to really get to know you well, would you mind kind of introducing us?
Yeah, sure. I'm Rick Schmidt. Our company has been around for 100 years now. We're a construction management firm founded here in Milwaukee. Have an office in Milwaukee and another one in Madison. I represent the fourth generation of family leadership over at C.G.Schmidt. And we've been blessed to do a lot of the projects that kind of help define the skyline of the city of Milwaukee and more recently in Madison. But it's an honor for me to work for the family company in a community that has such great business leaders. And it's just been a real honor for me. It's been a pleasure for our family through the decades to be a part of the community here.
You know, Rick, you and your family have truly built the city in the most literal way. It's really amazing to think about the impact C.G.Schmidt has had over the last 100 and some years. Thinking about that, what are you expecting in our near future, and the role that you all will play in helping to rebuild the city?
Well, I think right now things are looking a little bit tough. I think a lot of people are getting anxious and frustrated with being cooped up in their homes and having businesses that can't operate. We've been blessed, though, that we've been classified as an essential business by the state, and so we've been able to resume work. And we've had just a few projects that have been put on hold, but by and large, we're out there every day continuing to do what we do. The good side is we have a fair amount of education projects that we've got K-12 schools that formerly we couldn't get started until June. Now, because the schools are closed through the end of the school year, we've been able to jump on some of those projects a little bit earlier. But so far through this, we've been able to keep pretty well everybody employed. We have about 110 office employees and a little over 200 people that are tradespeople that work out in the field. Our office employees now are by and large working from home. I happen to be in the office today with about 9 other employees of C.G.Schmidt, but most everybody is trying to work from home, and we're just trying to get through this and look forward to the day when everybody can get back to work and businesses can be out and running and be productive and get a little bit closer to normal.
How have you all changed during the shutdown to keep communication with both your field staff and your in-office staff effective?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge, frankly, to keep everybody on the same page. Because we've got a number of remote sites, our project sites where our project teams are working out of job trailers, we've always had a percentage of our workers that have been working outside of the office. So we were in a pretty good position to get everybody at their homes, get them so that they were connected at least to the office. And then we've ended up doing a number of things to try to keep everybody connected to increase the communication. So we have a weekly newsletter that we started, comes out on Fridays of every week. What we do in the newsletter is give all of our employees information about what's going on within the company, the projects that we continue to pursue, the status of the projects that we have. We also include tips about how you can work from home and keep active and keep productive. And we kind of give them some personal stories about how some of the project sites are dealing with this. And then the other thing we do is we've got a lot of volunteer opportunities that we continue to do with our employees. So for example, N95 masks. There was a severe, it continues to be a shortage of N95 masks. Our company uses a number of N95s as we're working as demo in a lot of our projects. We were able to donate hundreds of those masks to our healthcare friends out there in the community. So our employees helped deliver, boxes of N95s. We also had a blood drive during the slowdown here due to the virus. So we were able to have, I think, about 30 people donate blood to the blood center so that could be used to help people through the pandemic. We've had employees and their spouses make homemade face covering masks that we donated to healthcare providers as well. So we made about 200 masks. So we got some things that we do as a C.G.Schmidt community to try to help people stay connected. And we also have a lot of video conferences. We use Zoom, we use GoToMeeting, and we use Microsoft Teams. And so we keep in contact with our clients and with our employees and departments, through that means as well. So we've all kind of tried to find ways to kind of adjust and try to get through this. But one of the things I'm most, proud of is the way our people have kind of stepped up to kind of help others in the community. We've also gotten involved in food drives, made donations so that some of the schools could get their parents back on the internet so that the kids could get online learning and a lot of other things like that. So this whole community has been, I just think, great, through this whole pandemic, and people are really stepping up to try to help where they can.
So listening to that, I'm reminded about the idea that in a time of stress or crisis, company culture is really brought to the fore. I'm wondering, what have you learned about your company and its community during this crisis?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, I just think this community is just full of tremendous people that have great work ethics, that have, strong family values, that are, just really wanting to create a better environment for everybody. And over at our company, we've had family values that have been handed down now through 4 generations, and our core value is caring. We care about the communities where we work and live. We care about the facilities we build. We care about our clients. We care about our employees. And so because I think that we've been able to instill that in all the people that have worked here through all the decades, but I think it's really helped our company be successful through all these years. We've always been able to find work and to keep our people going. And even through this, we've been able to get through this so far with just a minimum amount of layoffs. I think we've got 2 or 3 people that we had to lay off, but other than that, we've got everybody fully employed, and we intend to keep it that way.
Wow, that's unfortunately that's too uncommon a response. So many folks have really been forced to change the fundamental practices of their businesses. So I'm actually happy to hear that you've been able to maintain the business, that you are continuing to keep your folks employed. That's fantastic. So you all have endured a lot in the 4 generations of C.G.Schmidt. In fact, we know that the Great Depression happened about a decade into the formation of the company. Do you think that resilience is a part of your DNA, and what are you expecting to do coming out of this?
Well, yeah. First of all, I want to be clear that I was not here during the Great Depression, so I can't attest to that specifically. But yeah, I think our company has endured because, number one, because of the values that we've had, and number 2 is we've just really been able to find ways to get through it. And we did make it through the Great Depression. When I was around through the Great Recession, I was in charge of the company after the stock market crash in 2008, and that was a very tough time for our company. And for the first time in a long time, we had to let some people go, and that was the hardest thing that I ever had to do. but we made it through that as well by just keeping in contact with our clients, making sure that the work that we had, we did a really good job on, and we were able to kind of make it work and get through that. So we'll get through this as well. It's really less impactful than some of the other downturns in the economy that we dealt with, and we feel very, very happy to be able to continue to work. And we know that that's a great responsibility now, because we have to make sure that our people are safe, and we're making that our number one priority right now. And we have, knock on wood, so far been able to keep our people safe and keep them healthy and continue to work.
Thinking about what the future might hold, I suspect that social distancing will embed itself into our national culture. And I wonder, now that so many companies have figured out a work from home policy, there will be a question about whether or not they should fill offices with employees. How do you think that will manifest in a change in the commercial construction business? Do you think it will play out?
Yeah, we've already seen a little bit of a change in corporate offices. The office space has gotten much smaller. Part of that is because of the use of technology. Part of it is just that a lot of companies have hotel space where people kind of come and go, and it's not necessarily a permanently assigned, space. We see less office space than we did years ago, and more kind of common space that's divided up with cubicles. So I think we're going to see more of that as kind of a natural transgression. My concern, though, is, people are social animals, I think, by nature, and they do need to feel connected. And one of the things about the virtual meetings that we've been having and the technology that we've been using is it's really helpful that you can get work done, but you can't quite connect the same way that you can connect when you're in person. And maybe it's because of my age, maybe it's just because of, my personal nature, but I feel much more comfortable when I can meet and talk with someone face to face than I can over a virtual meeting. We've had some situations at our meetings here where people kind of talk over each other because they're not quite sure who's going to say what, at any given time. And we get through that, and I think that it's been helpful. But I don't think that there's anything better than meeting face to face and having face to face discussions where you can see people's body language, you can read their expressions easier, and so in my mind, I think that there will be some changes, that there will be perhaps more education classes that are done online. There'll be more people working from home than have in the past. But I'm not really sure that that's going to be as drastic a change as some people are predicting. Because I do believe that we're all, social beings by nature, and that there's certain things can be said for face-to-face meetings opposed to video and the other technology that we're using now.
So I'm realizing as I listen to you that so much of our language calls up ideas from the past, right? So when we talk about a phone call, we say, well, you can hang up, right? And no one's hung a phone up in 25 years, but we still use that. And as I hear you talk about the ability to conduct meetings and business face-to-face, that's really, left over from the option of having a phone call, because in so many ways, you and I are talking face-to-face, but we're just not able to fully replicate the experience of being in person, 3 feet from another. So it really is remarkable to think how this moment will force a change in language and what we might call the difference between a virtual call versus an in-person, in the same space, within a social distance conversation in the near future.
Right, yeah, agreed.
So I just have to ask, how are you personally handling this? You're wearing a tie, which is a first for the what's that about?
Well, we're, it's a personal preference of mine. Is it because we're continuing to work and we've got, I have this feeling like I would like to present to all of our employees a business as usual kind of approach. If I'm wearing my pajamas and I'm talking to a superintendent who's out on a field job, and he sees me in kind of a casual way, I feel that that doesn't project the kind of image that I want to project to our people, nor to clients or others. So I have relaxed the protocol around the office here, where we've got 9 or 10 people working, that they can wear blue jeans if they're not required to wear ties. I just feel more comfortable wearing a tie because I feel like I want to project an image to our firm that, hey, we're going through some tough times, but we will get through them, and it's business as usual because we're fortunate enough to have work out there and have our people employed. And so that's why I wear the tie. But it's pretty unusual around here too. The people that are here are not wearing ties, and I know that our employees at home are not wearing ties, and I'm fine with that. But I do want to project an image of, hey, we're still the same company that we were.
Yours is the first tie I've seen in almost 2 months, except for the folks on television. So, here you are, you're talking to GMC members. What do you think is important for them to know from your perspective at C.G.Schmidt, or even just what would you like for them to hear?
Well, I think the bottom line is that we're going to get through this. We've got great leadership in Milwaukee. The Greater Milwaukee Committee is made up of just really outstanding people, and people who really want the community to excel and grow and do well. And that's what the community wants too. And so, I think if I could say anything to the members, it's that this is tough for a lot of businesses, and a lot of businesses are having a much harder time than we are through this. But I know that we're going to get through it, that we'll get through it, we'll be stronger, the community will be better as a result of it. And my hope, though, is that we can get as many people working as we can in the near future. But obviously, for that to happen, they need to be safe as well. And I think all employers are looking at that. They would love to open their businesses again, but we can't do that until we can do that safely. So that's that balancing act that I think we're going to have to figure out here over the next, several weeks, or months. But the bottom line is, it's going to be over, and I think we're going to be stronger as a result of having gone through it.
I could not agree more on all those sentiments, including the incredible potential and leadership we have at the GMC, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to reconvene and really coalesce our leadership and our resources to recover from this as quickly as possible. Yeah. So, Rick, I don't know if you saw the conversation I had with Ted Kellner, but
I did.
Yeah, well, he shared some of his playlist. Would you like to share your music playlist, what you've been watching?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I guess I've always been kind of a Billy Joel fan, so Billy Joel is on my playlist. I like Journey, the Eagles, and I'm a little bit limited, Bruce Springsteen, but I think those are probably the major performers that would be on my playlist. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, I suspect that everyone that sees this will feel the way I do, which is some of the things you shared during this short conversation gave me a pretty full impression of who you are, starting with the picture of the dog and finishing with that playlist. I'm so grateful for you making the time.
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I hope that we can have an in-person conversation soon.
And me as well.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you. Stay well.
You too.